So what we're looking at is some letterheads from Henry Schmulbach and Company when he had the wholesale liquor business. So they advertised foreign and domestic wines and liquors that they would have there, which this would have been located near the waterfront on 12th Street. And one of my favorite things about studying Henry Schmulbach has really been collecting different artifacts from the brewery. So here you have a very early letterhead from the Schmulbach Brewing Company from 1889. But what you have here is actually a list of inventory. And you'll see names like Jack and Jake. Those are actually horses that they had actually in their inventory and their names, like 2 old wagons. So kind of a neat artifact from the brewery. And I've been lucky with acquiring some of this stuff, but these are actually letterheads or notes that would have been taken at different board meetings. And so this one is actually, I believe, just talking about the board of directors and the number of votes that they received. But if you can see on the image here, you have a very detailed drawing of what the grounds would have looked like. And like we were saying, most of those buildings are actually still there. That building is actually Kennedy's Hardware today. That one would have been where the brewmaster lived, and that one is no longer standing. But then you have Tri-State Machine and their buildings there that would have originally been the Cooper Shop.
Nice.
And so a lot of these are pretty standard, but again, pretty unique because these are all notes that were taken for the most part at board meetings. For example, a resignation there from
It's Lancaster.
Oh, Lancaster, yeah.
The wonders of historical research when the time period when typewriting came into prominent usage. We don't have to worry about handwriting anymore.
And what makes these extremely valuable to me is these are things for the most part that although they were important business records, for the most part a lot of this stuff has been thrown away or destroyed. So it's very rare to find artifacts from a pre-prohibition brewery still out there, especially something like a paper item that could be very easily thrown away.
Rental agreement for the rooms in the building we are currently standing in.
So I have leased to Howard Hazlett and Son for 10 years. So just a lease agreement. Frederick Ferris was the architect for the Schmulbach building, and this is just a letterhead with Mr. Ferris's signature there. This is 1917. But I don't know off the top of my head all the things that he built, but he built a lot of prominent buildings.
What is he saying in this letter, the valuation of the building itself?
That the valuation would be $400,000.
And it was built for
$150,000. So
within 10 years.
Within 10 years, that was a pretty good investment. And then we have a letterhead from the Schmulbach building. So this is from 1925. Again, he went all out with all details of the building. This is from Skinner's Tavern, just an envelope. But that was one of the taverns that Schmulbach owned and a place where he would distribute the beer. You can find a lot of different letterheads from, for example, this is the State Loan Company, but they are, of course, housed in the Schmulbach building in room 213. So just imagine on any given day the traffic that would have been coming in and out of here. And again, those people taking advantage of different facilities that the building offered, from the storefronts to the restaurant.
It's interesting to think that, most people associate the building either with Henry Schmulbach or then later with Wheeling Steel, but it was a headquarters for any of a number of smaller businesses
for a lot of
firms.
small, and a lot of names too that you'll still recognize today, like the Hazlett name in Wheeling. One of the things that I found is as I've done a lot of research about Henry Schmulbach, people have just called me up and they've given me different things. And so I did a presentation at the library a few years ago, and a gentleman approached me and he asked me if I would like to have this box of paper items. And I said, sure. And in it was Henry Schmulbach's bank book from the German Bank of Wheeling. And in that was also a ledger from the Schmulbach Brewing Company that spans about 10 to 12 years. And then also a lot of the original paperwork from Henry Schmulbach's estate after his death, because we're managing a lot of money for years. And so That's, for example, what this goes over is inventory of just the Schmulbach Brewing Company. And
This is about a year after his death.
yeah, you
looks
have
like.
the different assets there. The breweries were very progressive. You'll notice on there that there's an auto garage. They still, of course, would have been using wagons, but from Raymond, the Schmulbach, they wanted the latest technology out there. And Schmulbach, too, was also very, very pro-union. One of the cool things that they would do is one of the main features at Mozart Park was bowling. And so they had like a team from the Schmulbach Brewing Company that would, of course, bowl. I don't know if they ever bowled anyone from the Raymond Brewing
No,
Company.
that'd be
Probably
real
not,
competition.
but they would bowl teams from like the Intelligencer or things like that. So, and probably one of the coolest things that I have is I would like to think that he kind of had this in his possession with him, but this is his bank book from the German Bank of Wheeling, and it has his name on there. It's a little worn, but Henry Schmulbach. And if you open it up, again, I kind of hope this is what his signature would have looked like. It's very faint there in pencil. And this whole book is filled with different numbers and figures here from his deposits and different withdrawals, but a very neat artifact from the German bank. And again, there's another signature there, which is similar. This one's in pen, but similar to the other signature. But we are at like 1902, for example. But one of the most interesting things is if you go all the way to the back. So he died on August 12th. On August 17th, 1915, that was the last time that anything was done in this bank book. And so if I'm reading that correctly, how much money is that?
707,906.
Yeah.
So for 1915, a significant amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, when it comes to primary resources with the Brewers of Wheeling, it's very, very tough to find information. You're basically relying on what's in the newspapers because a lot of this material just hasn't survived. So, like I said, that's probably been one of my favorite things to do. Is I love the information and I love digging through the archives, but finding stuff like this, bottles, signs, the different collectibles that most people were throwing away, to actually find something that survived from a pre-prohibition brewery anywhere in the United States is pretty rare. So yeah.